All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at ultra-processed foods and their potential link to cancer.
Yeah, it seems like every week there's a new headline about the dangers of ultra-processed foods.
And they really are everywhere.
Yeah.
It's gotten really difficult to avoid them.
Yeah, and that's what makes this new study from the UK Biobank so concerning. They found a pretty strong connection between eating a lot of UPFs and an increased risk of developing certain cancers.
This study was massive.
Huge. They tracked almost 200,000 people for almost a decade.
Wow. So we're not just talking about a small little study here. This is pretty major.
Exactly. And they weren't just looking at one or two types of cancer either. They looked at 34 different types.
34. That's incredible. So what exactly did they find?
Oh, the more ultra-processed foods people ate, the higher their risk of developing cancer in general. But they also found a particularly strong link to ovarian cancer.
Oh, wow. That's scary. And what was the increase in risk, you remember?
Yeah. For every 10% increase in ultra-processed food intake, the risk of overall cancer went up by 2%. But for ovarian cancer, it jumped to 19%.
19%?
Yeah.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah, it really is. And it makes you think twice about reaching for that bag of chips or that frozen dinner.
No kidding. Okay, so we've established there's a connection. But what is it about ultra-processed foods that could be so harmful?
Well, for one thing, they're often loaded with sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, all of which can contribute to inflammation in the body.
Right, and we've all heard how bad inflammation is for us. But how does that relate to cancer?
Well, chronic inflammation can damage cells and DNA, which can increase the risk of cancer development.
So it's like setting the stage for cancer to develop.
Exactly. And then you add on the fact that UPFs are typically low in fiber and essential nutrients, which our bodies need to function properly and fight off disease.
It's almost like a double whammy. You're getting all this bad stuff and not enough of the good stuff.
Right. And there's also emerging research on the potential role of additives and contaminants found in some ultra-processed foods.
Additives? Like what kind of additives are we talking about?
Things like artificial sweeteners, preservatives, and even some packaging materials have been linked to negative health effects.
I never even thought about the packaging before. That's kind of scary.
It's definitely something to consider, but I think the main takeaway here is that this study adds to the growing body of evidence that ultra-processed foods are not good for our health.
So what makes this study different from all the others that have been done on ultra-processed foods?
Well, one thing that stands out is the wide range of cancers they looked at. Most studies have focused on the more common types like breast or colon cancer, but this one included some less common cancers too, like brain cancer.
Brain cancer.
Yeah, which is pretty significant because it suggests that the impact of ultra-processed foods might be much broader than we originally thought.
Wow. So it's not just about a few specific cancers. We need to be thinking about the overall impact on our health.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be discussing after the break. We'll talk about what this research means for our everyday lives and what steps we can take to protect our health.
Sounds good. We'll be right back after a quick message from our sponsors.
So before the break, we were talking about how this UK Biobank study showed a link between ultra-processed foods and cancer.
Yeah, and it really makes you think about all those convenient snacks and meals we grab without a second thought.
Right. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, it's just one little snack. What could it hurt?
Yeah, but when you see those numbers, those increased risks, it definitely makes you pause.
Absolutely. This study is a real wake-up call, and it highlights the importance of taking a closer look at our diets.
So let's talk about that. What can people actually do? I mean,
Yeah.
Should we all become expert label readers?
Well, that's certainly a good starting point.
Wait.
But it can feel overwhelming trying to decipher all those ingredients lists.
Right. And sometimes you just don't have the time to stand in the grocery aisle scrutinizing every single item.
Exactly. So I think it's more about making simple swaps and gradual changes.
Like what? What are some easy swaps people can make?
Well, instead of reaching for that bag of chips, maybe try some fresh fruit or veggies. Or if you're in the mood for something crunchy, try a handful of nuts or seeds.
Okay. And what about meals? A lot of people rely on those ready-made meals because they're just so convenient.
I get it. Believe me, I'm busy too.
Yeah.
But even just cooking one more meal at home each week can make a difference.
And you don't have to be a gourmet chef to cook a healthy meal.
Not at all. There are tons of simple recipes online and in cookbooks that use just a few ingredients and take less than 30 minutes to prepare.
So it's really about making those small, sustainable changes.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Now, out of all the findings in this study, what stood out to you as the most significant?
For me, It was the focus on ovarian cancer. It's a relatively less common cancer, so the fact that they found such a strong link to UPF consumption is definitely concerning.
Yeah, that's a good point. It makes you wonder what other connections might be out there.
Right. And it also highlights the importance of considering the entire diet, not just individual foods in isolation.
So it's about the overall pattern of eating, not just those occasional indulgences.
Exactly. And that's where making those small, sustainable changes can really pay off.
All right, so we've talked about the what and the why of UPFs and their link to cancer.
Yeah.
But what about the so what? Why should our listeners care about this research? What does it mean for their daily lives?
Well, this isn't just about abstract statistics or scary headlines. This is about your health, your well-being, and your future.
It's about taking control of your health, right? Not feeling like you're at the mercy of the food environment.
Exactly. The more you know about the foods you're eating and their potential impact on your body, the better equipped you are to make choices that align with your health goals.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one thought-provoking question we can leave our listeners with?
Given what we've discussed today, how might you reevaluate your own relationship with ultra-processed foods? What changes, big or small, could you make to prioritize your health and well-being?
And remember, it's not about deprivation. It's about making conscious choices that support a healthier lifestyle.
That's right. Eating healthy doesn't have to be boring or restrictive. It's about finding joy in nourishing your body with wholesome, flavorful foods.
We've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored the science, the potential risks, and most importantly, the steps we can take to make healthier choices.
And remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are resources available, communities to support you, and a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips.
Absolutely. And we're here to help you navigate it all, one deep dive at a time. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of ultra-processed foods and their impact on our health. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay healthy. You know, it's like we've peeled back the layers of the food industry and seen what's really going on behind those flashy labels.
Exactly. We've dug into the research, uncovered the potential risks, and now it's all about empowering ourselves to make healthier choices.
And while this whole ultra-processed food thing can feel a bit overwhelming, I think it's also pretty exciting.
Oh, absolutely. How so?
Well, because we're not just sitting here passively accepting the status quo. We're taking control of our health and our well-being.
I love that perspective. It's about taking ownership of what we put into our bodies and understanding the impact it has on our lives.
Right. It's not about being perfect or depriving ourselves. It's about making those conscious choices that support a healthier and happier us.
And that's a journey worth taking, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it's a journey we don't have to take alone. There's a whole community of people out there who are passionate about healthy eating and living.
So true. And there are tons of resources available to help us along the way, from cookbooks and websites to apps and support groups.
So if you're feeling inspired to make some changes in your own life, don't hesitate to reach out and connect with others who are on the same path.
And remember, every small step you take is a victory. Celebrate those wins and keep moving forward.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into ultra-processed foods and their potential link to cancer.
It's been a fascinating and thought-provoking exploration.
We've learned a lot, unpacked the science, and hopefully empowered you, our listeners, to make informed choices about your health.
So as we sign off for today, we want to leave you with one final thought. Remember, you have the power to create a healthier and happier life for yourself. It all starts with those small, conscious choices that you make each and every day.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay healthy.